Hi, this is Ray Peck. Today I'm going to talk to you about a huge fight coming up in the boxing world. We've got Anthony Joshua, current heavyweight champion of the world, WBA, IBF, IBO, against New Zealand's Joseph Parker, who holds the WBO version of the belt. So this is a unification fight. To bring four of them together. Much looking forward to this fight. It's going to be a good fight in terms of atmosphere, as they all are now that AJ is such a huge draw. You know, he's probably the biggest draw in world boxing now. You know, what can we say about him? 20 fights. 20 knockouts, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. Not all been easy. There's a lot to come from AJ, if I'm totally honest. I think he was exposed quite a lot with his last fight against Takam. You know, there's a lot he can work on, but he'll be the first one to tell you he's not the finished article just yet, and he can only get better. And what does that tell you? You know, if he can only get better, watch out the rest of the world. That's what I say. So what do we know about these two? Obviously we know AJ is a tough cookie. We know that I think when he fought Klitschko, it answered a lot of questions for people. You know, there was a lot of people saying that he hadn't been tested truly. His jaw hadn't been tested. Well, it certainly got tested on that night by arguably the best fighter on the planet, or has been the best fighter had been the best fighter for many years. Not only did his chin get tested, and you know we all saw what happened. That he was put down quite convincingly. But he showed an amazing resilience, an amazing recovery, and more than importantly, in my book, he showed amazing intelligence, which, you know, in the fight game, you've got to have the intelligence to get up from what had happened to him in that fight against Klitschko. To have the common sense to hold on, to box clever, to you know, give yourself enough time to recover, to get your head back together, to physically and mentally recover, and then to relaunch your own offensive. And we saw what happened then with the end of that fight when AJ completely took him apart. So for me, that was a defining moment in Anthony Joshua's career. And I think that fight alone would have made all the other fighters out there, all the other heavyweights, the pretenders to the throne, it would have made them look and go, hello, I think we've got the real deal here. And it elevated his, you know, elevated his profile. It elevated his reputation amongst fighters and fight fans. So fantastic. So let's take a little look. So just doing a comparison here. So you've got Anthony Joshua. They're fighting against Joseph Parker on the 31st of March at the Cardiff Principality Stadium, which actually is the same stadium where AJ fought Takam. So on the line, you've got AJ's putting 2 belts on, WBA, IBF, I believe, and Joseph Parker is bringing in his WBO belt. I'm not sure about AJ's IBO version. I'm not sure how that stands, but there's certainly three belts on the 3 titles on the line here. So this is, you know, this is everything to play for. AJ 28 years old, Joseph Parker 26 years old. So, you know, if it counts or anything, you could say Parker's got a little bit of advantage with a couple of years youth I don't think that makes any difference at all. 6'6" AJ, 6'4" Joseph Parker. And this is where it gets interesting. The reach of these two. 82-inch reach for AJ and 76-inch reach for Parker. So AJ's got the advantage over Parker with height and reach, and you're talking a 6-inch reach. So effectively, he could, he can do that. Keep him off the jab. And if your fight's a clever fight, if he really thinks about it, I guess that's going to be the way forward to fight Parker, isn't it? Keep behind the jab, keep him at bay. Effectively, Parker won't be able to hit you if you can keep him at bay with the jab. Use your jab enough to soften him up, to open him up. As the rounds start to tick by, Parker will, become frustrated. He may start to lunge forward and leave himself open to try and get round the jab. He may get tired as well, and that will be the perfect opportunity for AJ to step in and start throwing the big guns and taking him out. 20 bouts AJ, 24 bouts Joseph Parker. So again, there's not a lot in it in terms of the actual number of bouts that they've had, but what is interesting again is the number of rounds. AJ's only fought 65 professional rounds, competitive rounds, and Joseph Parker has fought 123. So he's fought 58 more rounds than AJ, which is interesting. And the reason for that is that quite a number of Parker's bouts have gone a distance. They've gone to the scorecard and to the judges' decisions. So interesting, because Parker has been saying that AJ's got a weak chin, he's got a glass chin, if he hits him, he's going to knock him out, etc., etc. Well, yeah, if he hits him, any man of the kind of weight that these guys are, if they hit you, you're going to get knocked out. If they hit you on the temple or on the chin, or those key points, of course he's going to knock you out. But his record shows that he doesn't actually do that very often. Now, that could be something to do with his size, that he's a little bit shorter and has trouble getting through people's defences, or maybe he just doesn't have that power that he believes he has. We know AJ's got the power. 20 bouts, 20 knockouts, 100% knockout record, versus a 75% knockout record for Parker. Both of them unbeaten. So they are taking records into the ring. Interestingly, the last 3 fights that Parker has fought have all gone to the judges' scorecard. The one fighter they've both got in common is Takam. As we know, it was a tough fight for AJ, but he came through and he won it. Takam, interestingly, also fought Parker, and guess what? It went to a decision. So psychologically, there may be a little something advantage there. So what's going to happen in this fight? Decision time. I don't think this is going to be a particularly exciting fight, if I'm honest. I don't think we're going to have a match of two men trading blows like we did with AJ and Klitschko. I think AJ is going to have far too much for Parker. And I think if AJ fights a clever fight, keeps behind the jab, as I said earlier, to soften Parker up, to expose his weaknesses, to frustrate him, to make him make mistakes, I think it could be over fairly quickly. And I'm predicting a 5th round stoppage or knockout for AJ. Interestingly, though, if that happens, what happens next? There's a fella called Deontay Wilder on the sidelines who certainly wants a piece of AJ, or he's saying he wants to unify the world title. Now, he's just beaten Louis Ortiz. I watched that fight, and I've watched pretty much all of Wilder's fights. I've got to say, I wasn't that impressed with Wilder. I don't think he showed a lot. I thought his boxing style was awful. Actually, AJ's touched on it, I think, a couple of days ago. He was throwing windmill punches, really over the top to try and take Ortiz's head off. But that's not going to work, is it, against a guy who's got a boxing brain like AJ certainly has. Up until the point of the stoppage, up until the point when he knew he was going to stop him and he'd hurt him, I wasn't impressed. Having said that, Wilder, I've watched, say, all of his fights. He does have a very, very fast jab. It's unbelievable. He's a colourful character. He likes to think of himself as the new Muhammad Ali. Well, you're a long way off of that, young man. But it would certainly be a money spinner. It will be the fight. If AJ comes through against Parker, it will be the fight that has to happen. No doubt about that whatsoever. And I think that's how it's going to happen. Just to touch briefly back on some of the things that have been said. Parker has said that, as I say, AJ's got a glass chin. In response to that, AJ has said that, I've only been dropped 3 times. That's probably 3 too many, to be fair. But, I've only been dropped 3 times. Once was in, both 2 amateur fights, and one of those was against David Price. And, of course, the one we all know about was against Klitschko. Well, there's no shame going down against Klitschko. And look what he did. He showed the maturity and the intelligence to get up and fight that. Parker has also indicated that we all know he's good friends apparently with Tyson Fury, who's that's another fight waiting to happen. And he said that Fury's going to join him in the ring walk, which will be interesting. Fury's a colourful character, as we all know. AJ doesn't seem to be too bothered about that, and why should he be? But I'm sure if that is the case, and I'm sure when AJ wins that fight, I think we're going to see some shenanigans, or some verbal shenanigans, from Tyson Fury. So that's it. That's my prediction. A 5th round stoppage or knockout for Anthony Joshua. In a fairly one-sided fight. That's what I believe. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please rate it, give it a thumbs up or the thumbs down. Please leave a comment and please subscribe. Speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.